had to vent again. Anyway, folks, you may or may not know something about some of this stuff. You may or may not believe this is possible. I'm here to tell you we can do this. I'm here to tell you we do have the tech. We do have the means. We do have the knowledge. We are fully capable of doing great things in this case. And the claims that are being made here today. There's a technology called gasification. That's been around for a long time. And what that does is is use heat to break down and partially burn stuff in an oxygen-starved environment. That releases a mixture of gases, and once they go through heat-based reducing and other chemical changes after being partially burned in a starved environment through an endothermic chemical chain reaction, that releases a series of gases including hydrogen, carbon monoxide, and a tiny bit of methane, depending. Unless you're doing this to coal, then it's a huge amount of various, what we call hydrocarbons. In other words, molecules, gases, hydrocarbon gases. Molecules made entirely of just hydrogen carbon, just like gasoline, diesel, propane, butane, acetylene, jet fuel, heavy naphtha, light naphtha, asphalt, petroleum jelly, which is used for ointments and medicinal as a medicinal ingredient carrier for your skin and for wounds, yada 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 yada, all that good shit. But methane is the simplest of hydrocarbons. Yeah. This tech can break down all the garbage in all the landfills instead of burying it. In fact, I'm going to do a watch, review, and response react in response to John Stossel type video. And it's going to be nuclear. Furthering my agenda to peddle BioRoot energy. Because it's a good agenda to fucking look into. Please check them out. The 10 million people page and the biorootenergy.com pages. Please check them out. Well, it allows you to take garbage and wastes of all types, gasify them, take steam, CO2 from coal plants, and other kind of factories stuff, and whatever, and steam reform that to make a fuel. But and it allows you to make a slag from the gasification system that can be used to extract metals and minerals that range from most all industries, from nutritional mineral supplementation, depending on the salt, trace metal and oxides, and whatever salt forms that can be used. And if you want further explanations, check out Joel Wallach's literature. I'll link the main literature I strongly suggest down below. And believe it or not, certain rare earth and metals that would be considered heavy metal toxic, a very trace amounts of certain specific form can actually be chemical catalysts for various chain reactions in biochemistry. It's very weird, and he talks about it as a pathologist. Started out as a veterinarian and then worked as a pathologist and a comparative pathophysiologist between such and such, and expanded his horizons. He learned from a holistically scientific perspective instead of an over-reductionist, fallacious perspective, basically. And anyways, from metals for nutrition, to make nutritional minerals, supplements, all the way to construction and other kind of industries, almost all industries, metal dispensing, and the leftover slag remains could be used to help make and repair roads. That's 3 products all in fucking one. The gas mixture can be cleaned up and made into higher mixed alcohol fuel, natural gas, synthetic diesel, light naphtha, heavy naphtha, kerosene, and even synthetic gasoline after you make naphthalenes and then hydrocrack the naphthalenes. Which, all can be used if as fuels are tweaked in for different conditions, have tweaked a little bit. But the fuel here in question is a mixture of different various alcohols. And it can have far more octane than anything out there in question as a liquid. Short of acetone. And in maybe certain types of racing fuel formulae. It has 85% of the chemical potential able to turn into heat energy in BTUs. So the 85% of the BTU potential of gasoline, to put it short, has a lot more benefits, including extending the engine life with far better fuel burn, on top of better than all of the properties that are good in ethanol. I'm just going to type BioRoot Energy Technology in higher mixed alcohols versus ethanol. You can use all kinds. You can use biomass, sludges, old tires, garbage, landfills, trash, sludges, biomass, all these kind of things. Got all types of gaseous, solid, or liquid carbon and hydrogen containing materials can be used for higher mixed alcohol fuel versus food, versus certain crops growing for ethanol. You can go under $1 per gallon profitable without subsidies due to waste and fossil carbons for production. And even less than that with using, I would advocate, and I'm going to spoil it while I'm ahead for clean nuclear microreactor. You can haul back and forth with 18-wheelers and their trailers. There's Panther back behind me. And run them and recycle their nuclear waste for a degree of profitable self-sufficiency to further their profitability, to make it super cheap. This is why it's so competitive. This potential for being competitive against big oil. That's why they're kept out of your awareness scope. No one in lamestream media, whether they peddle neocons or the left, especially the statist left, when they're not willing to put, fake anarchists like Chomsky, that grifting fuck on TV. I'm calling him that as a former Chomskyist. I'm calling him that because I was disillusioned because of Bernie. Don't get me started on that fucking rabbit hole that I got dragged into from that. That black pilling I got against the left. The honest black pilling, not the fake shit that lamestream media is telling you, including keeping you in the dark about real solutions in the world like this one. I'm emphasizing how super profitable this is if it were started with just technologies that are fucking out there. But I'm not going to link you the microreactor stuff until I get to that video. There's unlimited using of volumes of production for mass production on diverse feedstocks. The time for production could be run 24/7. The transport can use existing oil and fueling infrastructure, including pipelines, where higher mixed alcohols can actually be mixed with crude oil or the refined products that they're going to pipe. It can do all that. The blending characteristics are closer to gasoline than they around 4.61 RVP. Ethanol's blending characteristics is like RVP 2 of 2, I think. The blending so BTU value is anywhere from 92,000 to 96,000 BTU potential per gallon, depending on the fuel blend and catalyst usage. Ethanol is only 75,500 BTU potential per gallon. This octane rating of higher mixed alcohol fuel can go up to 109 to 138. That rivals natural gas and biomethane and octane as a liquid. The only thing higher than that are maybe certain racing fuel formulae and acetone, which is an octane rating of 150, I believe, according to some engineering toolboxes. It's got 1% more oxygen content to it than ethanol, which is 33%. The higher mix has 34. Both are it and ethanol biodegradable. The carbon monoxide emissions range from 37 to 69% reduction when blended with gasoline versus the minimum, that's a minimum for it, versus the 13 to 33% minimum in ethanol. VOC emissions can range from 18% or more in reduction. Bare minimum at the minimum levels, whereas if you blend it in a real small amount, in ethanol's case, it's only 5%, dependent. When it gets into the 30%, that's when you have to, again, if you go look at my ethanol episode 1 part 1, it shows you the higher, it has to be a higher blend for it to be of a noticeable difference when it comes to ethanol. Not so much with this stuff. It has more global applications than ethanol. It has unlimited commercial scalability. The process byproducts, again, it can co-generate electricity, distilled water, inert slags when solids are gasified, as well, and I would argue metals that can be separated out for hopefully chemically separated out for redistribution for all those different industries. And it's mild. It can actually, in the right blends, can increase miles per gallon in engine torque because of better burning efficiency. More so than you could with potentially more so than you could with anywhere from E25 to E40 with ethanol blended gas. Diesel blends from 5 to 10% by volume can eliminate black sooty exhaust. It can provide 20% or more of the greater fuel economy in non-adjusted diesels. No phase separation in cold conditions and would act as an anti-gel. I would also would actively state that they didn't on their webpage on the mixed alcohols versus ethanol. Ethanol, it's not meant to be able to be blended with diesel fuel unless it's tweaked, mixed with a little biodiesel lube, and mixed with an ignition improver for dedicated engines, like they do with Saab and Scania over in Sweden. It also stays blended into petroleum without phase separation. As a neat fuel, it can integrate at 5% gasoline volume for better cold starts. It only needs 5% gasoline at most for better cold starts. Ethanol is a neat fuel. If you're not careful, it works better with certain conditions, certain treatments and such. At times, depending. It doesn't always have that problem, but it can. It can have more problems. This one's far less problematic probability of being, far less, of that. Did I forget to mention that all the benefits I mentioned about ethanol fuel are more so with this shit? Again, if you actually use this tech, you can replace the ethanol fuel used in gasoline today, raise the octane rating much more, clean the smoke up a lot more, and you can theoretically use it as a catalyst for much higher miles per gallon. And it could help with water buildup in the lines by emulsifying said moisture to some extent on its own. Although I think you could still use ethanol shield or something, or one of those three. Or stable with my ethanol protections or gum out with my ethanol protections to enhance that emulsifying capability for moisture. Even though it would already work as its own gasoline antifreeze without, but you could still use them to enhance it and protect against the shittier effects of gasoline. And this one would help with that immensely, but whatever. Any lamestream will not tell you about this for all these fucking reasons. There's a fucking pattern I pointed out. It's called the petrodollar. Only certain leftists are not hypocrites about warmongering. Jimmy Dore being one of the very few. He's honest to a fault and believes in the shit he peddles with his heart on his sleeve. You gotta at least respect that. You've gotta at least respect that. God bless the guy. Wow. And again, this can be made less than $1 per gallon if you power this with clean nuclear energy for a profitable degree of self-sufficiency for the alcohol making, gasifying, and steam reforming factories themselves, those fuel plants themselves, along and expand the co-generated electricity and other potentials massively. Just saying, this is huge. Here are some tips for water and fuel. If you store the gasoline away from high humidity, if possible, under shelter, you should be fine. Or just at least under shelter, and it's good and you stabilize it. If you live in a high humidity area, under shelter, you should be fine. Number 3, if you blend the fuel with fuel, those 3 stabilizer mixtures, choices I suggested, you're going to be excellent. If you have horrid issues with water in your tanks and engines, then it will not likely be the fuel blended or alcohol blended in that's going to be the problem. It's more likely a shit storage problem or a gas tank problem, and you need to look into it and frickin' fix it. If you don't, you're not going to likely have water in the gas lines. It's not that likely. If you do, and you do have noticeable water in the bottom of your gas tank, you have a gas tank or a storage problem, fucking fix it. Dr. Dan's biodiesel, you could say the same about ethanol fuel, all the blame it gets for other problems. Just like Dr. Dan says about biodiesel. That wouldn't be too far from the truth. And it's stigmatized by media, outlets, and big oil. And this is a big change. Now, you might say, well, if it's so good, why ain't it being used? Well, again, most of you don't know about it until I tell you. First off. Secondly, the mainstream media outlets, and I will also include Newsmax as part of it, Fox 2.0, the neocon rhetoric zone, fuck off. They're not going to tell you about this shit. They're just as corporatized as the establishment that peddle leftist narrative. Are you kidding me? I mean, after all, they used to call themselves Trotskyists. And if you go look at this particular video that talks about metals and energy and the dollar, you'll see the pattern. You see something to follow. It's called the petrodollar for a reason. Control of various energy grids of the world and trading at back and forth oil are the so-called reserves to the USD. And the Federal Reserve's lost its control over the money. It's trying to keep it with some of the lockdown shenanigans that everyone got suckered into believing. And it come out of the technocracy, man, fucking book literature. Oh God. So I just want to cry. Sorry. Another mental moment from just bad realizations. But anyway, please check this out. If it's just $10, get 100 people to do it. They'll get $1,000. Find an investor that's not chicken shit and wants to see these guys come up. The fucking vast majority of you corporate twats are too chicken to invest in these motherfuckers to help them succeed because you're scared of the banks and big oil. I'm willing to give at least a couple of you a chance to prove my ass wrong. Check these links out. Check the investor page and the 10 million people donor wall page to prove my ass fucking wrong. I dare you. Prove me wrong and I'll concede and say I was wrong about you. Come on, do it. I'm fucking challenging you right fucking now. And now with that final note, no, not yet. Another benefit this could be, they can gain increase the versatility and profitability of this market business model for cleaning up the planet. If they got big enough and wanted to invest, they could invest in fucking robots to clean the ocean floors out. Robots cleaning out the ocean depths to bring garbage to them to gasify it. Oh my God! Another problem solved with higher mixed alcohol fuel bio-root energy. Take it up. Eat my shit. Fake greenies, watermelons that are blood red commie deep down, grifts, moral posturing twits, and ignoramuses. That's another business opportunity. That's another business opportunity if they're allowed to get built up big enough to do. Seriously, check them motherfuckers out. Please do it. If there's an investor out there willing to check this page out and contact someone they got stock in to invest in them, I dare them. See if them motherfuckers can prove me wrong. And I'll admit they proved me wrong. And I'll even do a small video saying, hey, I was wrong about a couple of these exceptions. And then I'll talk about them in video form. I dare ya. I fucking dare ya. Oil's not going to be around forever. We'll have to be making synthetic shit. Which will do better than the shit we're tapping out of the ground. But it'll still. And don't get me wrong, oil will still be used for certain uses. But the fuel industry will be replaced. Will be phased out. But they don't want it. They want to hoard out. They want to whore out as much as they can before that eventually does happen. But whatever. Look how massive that is. Potential that robot cleaning up ocean depths aspect is for gasifying that garbage. That is immense. That can solve many problems in one go. Even remnants of oil spills can be sucked up out of the ocean and gasified. Anyways, I'll see you guys around.